exciting.
And we have begun. So, hello people and welcome to Sonic Adventure 2. I am Dracodan and with me is...
I am a mustache.
Hey, there you go. Certainly an authority figure we've got in here because Mustache is actually the current world record holder for this category.
Yeah. Although Shibakee was a previous world record holder, so this run should be good.
I think a lot of people would say that Mustache and Shibakee are probably the current top two runners of this category in terms of like the raw times that they can pull. Shibakee is certainly very strong at the Sonic stages. So starting off City Escape, we have the boarding section at the start there, which only comprises about 25 seconds of the stage, and then we actually gain control of Sonic, and movement with Sonic is done by trying to chain and spin dashes as much as possible everywhere. And will we see the skip? Oh. That was a good attempt, but nah. So what we saw there was an attempt at City Escape skip, which is a very inconsistent, borderline random trick that involves trying to, use some weird physics exploits with getting out of bounds for a couple of frames and hitting a speed pad to dash to the right. There are a couple of different approaches that different runners try to use. Shibakee uses his own strat there, which involves spin dashing to store the speed value through the dash pads, because you actually need to avoid the speed pads before the ramp, since you need a higher speed value than what the dash pads reset your speed value to in order to initiate the skip. Some runners prefer to dodge around the pads. He just prefers to store a spin dash through and then release it and try and jump off the ramp, but it's all runner preference really. And we come now to the truck section. You want to tell us a little about basic movement and how going fast here works, Mustache?
On the truck section?
Yeah, and well, it applies to in general, really, doesn't it? Because, spin dashing down hills and stuff.
Yeah, spin dashing down a hill, you will pick up a lot of speed, and I don't think there's actually a cap on it. It's just, it takes a while to get there. So, Shibakee, you saw there, he was spin dashing at every flat part, and that's because if you go too fast over that, you will fly off the hill and lose all the speed that you gained previously. And he did that quite well. I don't think he flew off one hill. 204 is not too bad of a time considering the start he got. I think he was a bit nervous at the start, so...
Yeah, he actually didn't hit one of the ramps in the boarding section as well, so yeah.
Yeah.
So, coming into the first boss here, Bigfoot, the bosses in this game are largely quite a simple affair because they always do the same actions as long as you're doing the same actions. For Bigfoot, we go to the front set of boxes here and simply try and land 4 quick hits before Bigfoot has a chance to move off. Getting onto the box can be kind of awkward because the collision around boxes is really terrible and the camera doesn't give a particularly good view of what you're doing, but that was still a pretty decent time at 2150 for Bigfoot. Yeah. You can only really save a few frames on the time that he got there, so that was good. And we now get into the first Knuckles stage, Wild Canyon. All of Knuckles' stages are about collecting 3 randomly generated emerald pieces, which you grab hint monitors that tell you the location of the next piece. Being that this is in Japanese, we are going to not really be able to tell what piece he has until we actually see where he's going. So this is going to be interesting even for us a little bit, because obviously we play the game in English. There's no real preference for using Japanese or English hints. The main difference between Japanese and English hints is that certain pieces have ambiguous hint names, as in the same hint name can refer to 2 or more pieces. There are certain hints in English that are ambiguous, and there are certain hints in Japanese that are ambiguous, and they're different, so it's mainly just down to preference. Like, some Japanese runners choose to use Japanese text, and some choose to use English text.
Those were really bad pieces. His second piece in particular was one that you have to do something other than just move around and punch things, which is generally what Knuckles does. He has to move a thing that moves really slowly, and then try and get the piece. It wastes a lot of time. It's one of the worst pieces.
It's the worst one of those you can get as well, because it's the only one that you can't speed up by punching through the model. Because punching normally widens Knuckles' hitbox, but for some reason it doesn't work very well on that specific one.
There was not much he could do about that, and he got 37. That is really bad.
That's an atrocious Wild Canyon, honestly, yeah, but that was entirely RNG. That wasn't on Shibakee.
Yeah. There's a boss there, you just hold forwards and mash B and then he's dead.
Yeah, Eggman 1 is quote-unquote a boss. I'm gonna let you cover Tails movement though, because you're actually good at it. I'm not.
Alright, okay. So, at the moment, he does not have the hover, which is one of Tails' most used upgrades that he gets. So, you'll be seeing him jump around corners a lot so that he doesn't lose speed from turning too quickly. You actually see him jumping on these platforms and things, and skipping things like the elevators, save as much time as possible, and then it's just like a matter of going through the gates as soon as possible. So up next, you'll see an example of the targeting system being a bit wonky. You'll be able to shoot some enemies through the floor, and that opens up a gate later on, saving a little bit of time.
51 check is pretty decent as well.
Yeah, you can get 49s there if it's like absolutely perfect, but 51 is really good. This is a good prison lane so far. So yeah, other than that,
wonky.
Yeah, your shots from those enemies can hit those boxes if they line up just right.
Yeah. One thing that you'll probably notice about how we commentate how general pace is going is that we will often say things like, oh, he lost a couple of seconds here, so this can be a lot better, whatever. The ceiling of optimization and the standards that we have for this game are just incredibly high, because optimization is really the name of the game here. Because this is such an IL heavy game, we know exactly where time saves exist and like how many tenths certain time saves, save. So we're very conscious of where all the time save is and where all the time loss is happening as well.
Yeah, so for example, he got 137. It can go as low as like a 132, but that's extremely hard to get. You'll not get that in a run, most likely. So now it's Metal Harbor, which is the second Sonic stage. He'll be getting the light dash in this stage. And he's actually doing some of the faster strats in this as well. The riskier ones that can lose time if you do it like wrong. And quite a bit of time actually, both of the strats.
Yeah, Metal Harbor is probably Shibakee's strongest stage, so I'm expecting some magic here.
Yeah. Nah, this doesn't look like a 119.
Interesting using this route though.
Yeah, it's quite strange. We figured out some more optimizations on the stage.
Is he aware of them, do you know?
I don't know, actually. Is he doing it?
Nice.
Yeah, he's doing the pulley skip.
That pulley skip is a lot harder than it seems. You need a very optimally placed spin dash jump, and you need to work against the camera change, otherwise you don't get enough distance to break under the floor there. Yeah.
So, Metal Harbor is a stage that if you fall off anywhere, you will most likely die, and because it's just a big pool of water underneath you all the time.
Yeah, the checkpoints in the stage are fairly numerous though, thankfully.
This looks like a 122 or 121, I think.
The rocket platform skip was very good there though. That was almost a 13 rocket skip, which would be very, very good. Oh, very nice strat for the last loop skip there as well.
Hey, 122. Yeah, that's a really good time.
Yeah, a low 122 as well. That is very good.
Yeah,
so again,
Metal
if
Harbor,
we're talking... Sorry.
Metal Harbor is probably one of the easier stages for Sonic to optimize, but it does take a long time, and you should be able to get 122s quite consistently eventually.
Yeah, like, if we're talking about, again, how good a stage can be, Metal Harbor can be as low as, like, 119s, but that requires a very high degree of optimization. So, we come now to the third boss, technically, but again, Eggman's not really a boss fight. The third boss fight, Shadow 1, Sonic's first counterpart battle. In this stage, in this boss, we're going to try to use what is known as storage, which is holding the action button to make the game get confused about what action we're actually using. Oh, getting a ring, that's massively safe. I don't really prefer to get a ring in this fight, because the fight is very safe when you know what you're doing, but you just see there, you get 3 quick hits on Shadow by just running into him whilst the game thinks you're somersaulting, which can inflict damage. It's a really simple boss fight when the strats are known, but there's a lot of ways that the fight can go horribly wrong, such as Shadow randomly doing a high jump and holding attacking, which can put him in an awkward position, and once you lose control of the fight, it's difficult to regain control of it.
Yeah. there aren't very many uses of storage, but that is one of them.
Mhm.
Upcoming next is what we call loop speed, and loop speed is the property that gets applied to Sonic when he goes around a loop, so that he goes around it automatically when you're holding up, so he doesn't fall off when he's at the top of it. He's going to use that to try to land on a wall and run straight up it. I think he's going to try that at least. Hopefully he does.
This
It's
occurs
quite
halfway through
entertaining.
Green Forest, yeah. Until
Yeah.
then, Green Forest is just a matter of not coming off slopes like that. There are a
Yeah.
lot of awkward slopes in Green Forest, and sticking to floors when you go over slopes is... I want to say it's not an exact science in this game. That was a nice loop skip, though.
Yeah, it was quite optimal. But yeah, you can fly off like pretty much anywhere in the stage.
So we're coming up to the aforementioned skip here. I'll be very surprised if he doesn't go for the checkpoint here, because this is actually very dangerous. Oh wow, checkless. Oh, he's got it. Nice.
Damn.
Nice.
Is he getting the moonshot?
It's not over yet.
Oh, that's definitely gonna checkless moonshot. That is incredibly good.
Nice.
That is really nice. That
That's
is one
really
of the hardest
good.
tricks in the game.
Yeah,
You
that's
did-
really good to show off in a marathon as well. Very visually appealing.
He didn't go for the loop speed trick on the last loop skip. Oh my god, that light dash.
What?
And Mustache says the light dash isn't broken in this game.
It's not. It's predictable.
That was, oh wow. So yeah, that tree run was incredibly good, but then the end of that stage was kind of hairy, since the last loop that he skipped and then broke through the bottom of, you can get another loop speed boost by homing attacking through the loop speed trigger as you're about to get in. It can go wrong, because if you're at the wrong angle and elevation, it can launch you through the bottom of the loop instead, but I find it's fairly consistent. And then he just got an incredibly awkward light dash on the last ring trail there, because the ring trail is lifted off the floor and it's difficult to get it from the floor.
We didn't explain that loop speed gives you speed. It makes you
I
go
mean-
pretty fast.
It's kind of implied in the name.
Yeah.
So once again with Pumpkin Hill, another hunting stage, but again, since the hint text is in Japanese, we're not really going to know what Shibaki has until he gets
Forgotten
there. This
Hut.
is Forgotten Hut. Yeah, this is definitely Forgotten Hut.
Yeah.
And that's an ambiguous piece. That can either be at Ghost Train Mountain or Church Mountain, which is why he went one direction and then stopped and backtracked when the radar wasn't going off, because he was testing one location and didn't get it, so then he just went to the other location.
Yeah. I tend to find that it spawns mostly, for me at least, at church, but Draco says no.
This is under a chimney at Pumpkin Mountain, so what
Yeah.
piece 3 is he going to get?
King of the Hill.
Question mark.
No.
Suffering from a stuffed nose?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
it
this,
looks
this
like
is
it,
Suffering
yeah.
from a stuffed nose.
Those weren't too bad pieces.
Yeah, Church, Pumpkin, well, Ambiguous, which was at Church, followed by Pumpkin, Pumpkin, is quite a good piece layout, honestly. So 47 is about average for Pumpkin Hill, maybe a little below average. So,
Yeah.
so far, the RNG for the run has been below average overall. We had a very bad Wild Canyon, followed by an average Pumpkin Hill. And there are
typical.
there are 5 RNG stages in the stage. In the game, sorry. Yeah.
In the stage. Alright, so Mission Street. This is where you get the hover upgrade I mentioned earlier. And this stage is very cycle based, and Shibaki is going to go for what we call the 0th cycle, and the reason we call it that is because the first cycle, or at least what we thought was the first cycle, was the earliest cycle we could make at that time. So in order to not get people confused with it, we just named the newer, faster cycle the 0th cycle, because that's one
I
cycle
just
faster.
missed the weight hop.
Yeah, so he tried to hover onto the weight by using a pause hover, and a pause hover gives you more height from when you use a hover jump. And the hover jump is where you hover, but you hover right after you jump, or like as soon as possible, and that actually like makes you go a little bit higher than usual. Is there anything else you wanted to explain?
It's fundamentally the same trick. A pause hover is no different from a hover jump fundamentally. All a hover jump is hovering whilst you still have upward momentum from your jump, so that the game applies extra upward momentum. The reason that a pause hover is just more efficient in that regard is because since you're able to pause buffer 2 A inputs very close together, it very commonly gives you a stronger effect than if you did it unbuffered. Since If you did it unbuffered, you're probably going to be lucky to get two inputs that are like 5 frames apart. Whereas with a good pause buffer, you can get hover jumps that are like 1 or 2 frames apart if you do it optimally. And the effect is just more pronounced.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's difficult though. It's very difficult.
Yeah, so he missed the weight just due to poor timing, honestly.
Thankfully though, if you miss the weight though, the game, the stage becomes very low stress, since once you're on first cycle pace, which is what you're on if you miss the first weight hop, first cycle is very forgiving to make from that point onwards. You just need to make no major mistakes. You can even afford a couple of major mistakes in places and you still have plenty of time to make first cycle.
Yeah, after the cycles are over, there's like a second cycle later in the stage, but that's generally not hard to make. But after those are over, there's only 40 seconds left of the stage, and it's really quite relaxed because most of the time you're just running in a straight line. So it looks like a 120. That's not too bad. You can go
220, yeah.
You can get a 217, I think, but honestly, I would not expect more than a 220.
With optimal movement, it can be like a 217, 218, yeah, because once you're past the cycles, the last corridors of the stage are pure movement.
Yeah, although the upgrade, pausing the timer, it still moves the cycles, so
yeah, that's true.
That could change the timer at the end.
So getting into Aquatic Mine, all of us who know this game were currently watching the intro cutscene very carefully. He didn't get any free pieces though. In the intro cutscene to Aquatic Mine, you can potentially see free pieces that are lying around the stage. Oh, he chose a restart.
Oh,
because he didn't like the first piece that he got. Oh, yeah.
He was green, but I don't think so.
This is not a good start. This RNG is not being nice to him.
Yeah, if you don't get a green radar or better at the start and there are no free pieces, you will most likely get a piece that's in the ghost room or in the down below section, which are both really horrible to get as your first pieces.
Yeah.
They tend to spawn really bad second and third pieces with them, and the movement you get with them is just not good at all.
These first 2 pieces are okay. This third piece is likely to either be down below. Oh, this is Ghost Room where he's going. Yeah, he's clipping into the Ghost Room. So Knuckles has some clips that he can exploit in Aquatic Mine. That was a nice re-entry as well.
Yeah, that was really good.
Yeah,
so for those pieces, that was a really good time.
Yeah, you can clip out on all the signs there. Like, the clip is the same for all the different signs. It's just that clipping out in different spots will let you get to different places more quickly.
Yeah.
But the tech is the same. Would you like to talk about Route 101 for 2 minutes and 15 seconds, Mustache?
Well, there's not much to talk about.
I know, yeah.
So, this stage is really straightforward. There's not much other than ring management for the boosts, using the boosts themselves, and then you'll see some wiggling up next. And the wiggling is drifting, essentially. And you want to keep drifting because that makes the speed cap higher than usual for some reason, which means you can maintain the speed of when you use a boost or when you go downhill, as long as you don't go uphill, hit a wall or a car. So he'll be wiggling through the whole stage. His ring route is really strange. I've never seen this before.
Yeah, this is odd.
So he's holding onto a boost right now, and he's going to use this at this uphill after it. Try and get his speed at the highest possible, make sure he's not going too slow for that long.
I can also tell as well that he's currently having a difficult time with the cornering. He's very clearly not calibrated his controller through Windows. I mean, being that it's a Marathon PC setup, the controller calibration hasn't been done through Windows. That's actually important for Route 101 because it does something to your controller dead zones to make it so that you can actually corner more sharply after the controller's been calibrated. So currently he's actually struggling against not being able to corner as sharply as he would like to.
Yeah, that's really important. Yeah, I think we've explained everything for this stage. It's just...
So like in these spots here where you see things like he's just drifting into walls and not being able to make it around corners, that's not down to bad driving, it's because he actually can't turn as sharply as he needs to. Though there are a couple of spots where it's actually preferred to deliberately bonk off a wall in a certain manner. Because coming off walls generally won't reduce your speed that much as long as you don't drive straight into a wall and spin out, but driving into a car will reduce your speed a lot. So there are a couple of spots where it's preferable to drive into a wall because it won't slow you down that much. This is going to be a 216. Oh no, a 217. It looks like a 218 on the clock, but Route 101 has a weird property where the time that you get on the results screen does not correlate to the timer that's displayed in the stage. So
it
the
uses
timer,
a different timer.
Yeah, the timer just ticked over to 218 in the stage, but then on the results screen he has a 217.22. It takes off like about 3/4 of a second, it seems.
0.87 exactly.
Ah, okay. Whew, Tails, movement stage. Again, Mustache, you're good at Tails movement, aren't you?
Yeah, so the next 3 stages are the hardest stages for all the characters, and it will go in order of Tails, Sonic, and Knuckles.
Followed by the 2 hardest bosses in the run.
Yeah, these stages, I'd say, are what matters the most out of all the stages. They're usually the least optimized.
I agree. That was a very nice GC skip as well.
Yeah, so you just saw Shibakee go through a wall.
Damn.
Land on an enemy. That's what we call GC skip. That's where you just clip through a wall using a corner to push you out, I guess. It saves about 4 seconds over taking the normal route.
It's important to use the corner because normally hovering against a wall in this game will drag you straight down. If you hover against 2 walls simultaneously, it doesn't seem to happen and you can just clip through the corner. We call it GC skip because on the GameCube version, the wall that you want to go through doesn't actually have proper collision and you can just fly straight through it, so it's significantly easier and a little faster on the GameCube version as well.
Yeah.
But
so
in order to execute it there, you need to finagle through the corner.
This is probably the most technical Tails stage with some really hard and tight hover jumps in order to save the most time. This one is probably the hardest Tails stage to get a good time in a run in. Because you can, I'm positive you can sub 140 in a run, but that will never happen. The best I've gotten is a 143, and that's still over 3 seconds slower. So it is a very hard run. It might not seem like much is going wrong. It might be really smooth, but there is a lot of optimization to do in this stage. And
for sure.
152 is not too bad at all.
It's, with GC skip, 152 could stand to be a bit better, but there were a couple of really awkward spots in that stage where the runner can't really be blamed for some hiccups that happened there.
He was fluffing around after GC skip, right after that enemy.
Yeah, if there was a weak spot, it was the pulley spot. Though Pyramid Cave, I would say this is the most technical stage in the run.
This is the most technical stage in the entire game, I'd say.
Yeah. Even including the dark stages, Pyramid Cave is really hard to play well.
Yeah. Pyramid Cave is also the stage you get what we call the best upgrade in the game, and that is the bounce bracelet.
That was some weird collision on the chow box there.
What you're seeing there, that was what we call a pseudo super bounce, which the real super bounce you'll see in just a second. But pseudo super bounce is where you just get a bunch of speed into a wall and it sends you flying up because it has nowhere to put you.
And
so now you'll see
the actual
super bounce. That's where you bounce into a wall with speed, and it converts your horizontal speed into vertical speed and sends you really high.
There's a very nice door skip as well.
Door skip there.
It didn't just jump straight through the door. It's more accurate to say that he jumped through the gap between the door and the wall, which is like a few pixels wide, and you can just about get through it with an incredibly precise position and enough speed.
That was pretty sick.
Not too easy.
Yeah, that was really smooth and fast.
And now we get gravity abuses. I mean, oh, wow.
Okay, then.
That was odd.
I think he tried to back out of it, but...
I think he tried to back out of it and tilted the camera too far as well. We want for this, which we call snake skip, you want to tilt the camera a specific way, like you did there, and then do a bounce with skewed gravity. Gravity in this game is weird, and it always temporarily corresponds to whichever direction you're facing. And we can exploit that with bounces to get skewed gravity effects. The same thing's going to happen on this last loop in Pyramid Cave here.
Yeah, so the bounce actually changes the direction of gravity temporarily to be
He didn't go for it.
down of where Sonic is facing forwards.
Yeah.
So if you use a bounce attack when you're on a slope, it will be what's the word for it? It'll be
I'm not
at
sure.
an angle then. It'll just be an angle. I can't think of the word.
He didn't go for the last gravity bounce in the stage there, though, because, frankly, I think he got intimidated because his position was a little off and didn't want to risk another death, which would have been really costly since he didn't have a checkpoint to that point. He would have just gone back to where he was before the snake skip.
Perpendicular was the word, I think.
Alright. Oh, Death Chamber, the hardest knuckle stage.
Three
So
brother
we need the
continues?
upgrade. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or two
that was
mouse.
probably a good call to restart the stage. Oh, he's got black and yellow stripes, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. I think he's having some trouble with his controls.
Maybe, yeah. That would explain what the hiccups in Pyramid Cave there as well.
Yeah, so
'Cause,
Death Chamber.
No, just sorry. Go ahead.
Death Chamber is the biggest knuckle stage, I'd say, and other than Meteor Herd, but that's more vertical. It's really enclosed, and you have to go through these really tight hallways to move around, and there are quite a lot of them. So routing is like quite a major factor in this stage, not just the RNG. But the RNG is probably the most variable of any of the knuckle stages, I think. So these
So again,
pieces
We
are okay.
can't really tell which pieces he has. I'm guessing that. Oh, he's got. Is this Wandering Ghost?
No, I
that
think
is-
it's Guardian. No, it's not.
Oh,
It's
Bug Tree. Bug Tree. Yeah, that's
it's Bug Tree.
that's a good last piece. Getting. So what was that? He had black and yellow stripes, then Angry Man, and then Bug Tree. So
Yeah.
red green corridor to blue corridor to the start of green. That's not too bad. That wasn't a terrible piece layout.
Yeah.
Oh, and yeah, that's an important note as well. Shibakee dithered a little when he got the second hint, Angry Man, because this is what I mean about ambiguous piece names. In English, Angry Man is a singular hint, and then there's another piece which was in the direction that he was initially going, called Angry Guy. In Japanese, they share the same hint name. So he was checking the first location, and then he went to the second location when he didn't have the piece. That's what I mean about there's just a preference factor between some Japanese players prefer to use the English text because some of the hint names are different and less ambiguous, and others are more ambiguous.
Do you want to explain King Boom Boom?
Yeah, you
got like 20
outrun him,
seconds.
dig him out of the ground, and then with a very precise control stick angle, you can stay caught up to him without getting too far ahead of him, otherwise you punch him the other way and can't catch up to him, and you can kill him in one cycle, as opposed to the 4 cycles that the game normally intends. Normally you just get one hit on him and he disappears after a certain time, and you rinse and repeat, but like there, you can get him in one cycle if your movement's good. And then Egg Golem. The game just doesn't let up with hard bosses, and this
Final
is, I think,
boss.
yeah, it's the final
not
boss of
really.
the game. The hardest boss that's ever been devised in a video game. All the frame perfect inputs. Well, not quite frame perfect, but he's using super bouncers again off these narrow platforms. An important
It's
element of
scary
super bouncers is that the bounce needs to be performed before you collide with the wall. That's an important element that people don't really appreciate for a while, that the bounce needs to come out before you hit the wall. These platforms are narrow enough, though, that means that you only have, after releasing the spin dash, 2 or 3 frames to get the bounce off. So those Egg Golem bouncers are incredibly difficult to perform.
That's
That
32.
was-
That's pretty good.
That was a good Egg Golem, yeah.
Yeah. I'd be happy with that in a hero run for sure.
This game just goes too fast to keep up with.
Yep. Especially Pyramid Cave. We were explaining one strat and then the next one was there.
Yeah, I know, it's bad. Oh,
Top
Turtle
Engine.
Engine, go.
This is another cycle-based Tails stage. Thankfully, for the last Tails stage, this one it's kind of okay once you're like good at the stage itself, but the cycle is tight to make for like newer, less experienced runners. So-
Even I have a lot of trouble making this cycle consistently.
Yeah, later on, he'll go to a checkpoint at around 1 minute and 5 seconds, and that is the time you need to get on a checkpoint in order to make the cycle. Like, the cycle's around 10 seconds after that checkpoint.
Yeah. To make it comfortably, at least. Like, you
Yeah.
can make it with a 106, but you need to get it from the back end and do some weird stuff with a balloon that's hanging around there.
Yeah, exactly. So he'll just be trying to keep all his speed while going through these doors, hitting switches, hitting rockets, and just waiting for platforms. So you'll notice he's jumping just before a door, and that's because if you walk at full pelt at a door, you will collide with it before it actually manages to open enough for you to go through it.
Yeah.
So he's jumping to slow him down a little bit.
Yeah.
And he got 1 of 5 checkpoints, so he should
Yep,
make
this
this
is-
cycle unless he messes up the hopper jumps.
He can... No, he... damn it. He can't make that anymore. That was just, I think, nerves affecting that hover jump there.
That was a good call, though. He backed out of that, and he would have gone dragged down by the platform.
Yeah. If he'd attempted to go for that, he wouldn't have made it and taken a death. It's one of the more minor deaths that you can take in the run, because there's a checkpoint right before it, but still. And he got the clip out, second try with the door. Nice.
So this is
you
Eternal
clip,
Engine
yeah.
skip. Yeah. Use the door to clip out, and there are 2 methods of doing it. One where you just like visually set yourself up and then walk forwards and jump through. It gives you enough momentum just to slide out of bounds. Or use the door. It pushes you out of bounds physically, I think. And once you're out of bounds, you just fly towards the direction of the goal ring, and that's about it. It's just the void of space, I guess. Just the void.
And then when you go in a very specific direction, you enter the matrix, and then you hit the goal ring.
Yeah, using some visual cues. Oh, he nearly
Almost missed
lost-
that, yeah.
nearly lost himself out of the level.
Yeah, you need to collide with the goal ring as you come down to it, though, because if you fall past the goal ring, you can't hit it, and you just fall into a kill plane. So
Yeah.
it is
Quite easy.
a little precise. It's easy to be in the wrong position and have the camera obstruct your view, and then if you can't see what you're doing, you need to know exactly where you need to be in order to hit the goal ring.
Visual cues for when you're out of bounds, they're quite easy to learn and use as well.
So, last RNG stage, Meteor Herd. Can this be redeemed with one fantastic set of RNG? Because he hasn't had one good set of RNG yet in this run. Wild Canyon was horrible, Pumpkin Hill was average, Aquatic Mine took some restarts, and Death Chamber was a little shaky.
Good first piece.
That was a good first piece, yes.
If he gets one at the top, that would be a good second piece.
Oh, this
and,
is steel
he got
drilling.
one.
Oh no, it's not. It's in front of a big door. That can be okay,
Okay.
if he gets a third piece at the bottom. I don't like this route that he's using to get to the next hint.
Yeah, that's kind of risky.
This
so
is- Yeah.
if he gets one at the bottom now, he'll lose a lot of time just by going up, because he will probably... Oh, he got one at the bottom as well.
he just got
between forces.
no, this is Powerless by itself. Yeah.
Alice by itself.
Yeah, that was... I honestly think that's a misplay. This is a little bit of an example of what I mean about... I said before, during the tech issues, that Shibakee's knuckles could be better. That was honestly a pure misplay of not going for a closer hint that was on the ground level. I think he was trying to do a probability play of saying it's unlikely to get a hint on the ground, so I should go up since it's more likely to get a piece that's higher up. But it's still possible to get a few different pieces on the ground, which is what he got. So it would have been better, I think, to get a hint on the ground and waste
Yeah.
less time there.
If he had known where that piece was and it was on the ground, those were some really good pieces for him.
Yeah, because from that second piece, it's possible to get some piece threes that are only a few seconds away from it in movement.
Yeah. Meteor Herd is like, you spend a lot of time going up and down,
Yeah.
like in general.
You
Rouge
expect to go up and down so much that you don't realize that sometimes you don't need to go up and down at all. And that was an
Died.
unfortunate death on Rouge.
Yeah.
This is a weird boss fight in which normally Rouge's AI and movement is really erratic and she fights back a lot. If you instead just rapidly chain drill dives like he is here, Rouge just stays in place and you can get hits on it
Handstand
since
her
she
to
becomes
death.
really passive. Yeah, handstand her to death, that's what we call it. I just call it timing jumps around her and then drill diving because that's what you should be doing. People
Yeah, but
rapidly
handstands,
doing
though.
handstands are the worst way to do it. You spend more time grounded, which is more
Yeah.
opportunity for it to do something.
Yeah, but then you can say you handstanded Rouge to death.
Yeah, and you can say that you took an unnecessary risk based.
It's infinitely better.
This is the tail end of the
CGSS?
run now. Yeah, CGSS. I want so many CGSSs. I'm going to help you guys out. Alright. Yep, it's happening.
Okay, second last Sonic stage. This stage has one of the, no, if not the biggest stage, the biggest skip in the run. And you'll see coming up like very closely that he's going to be trying to go out of bounds and get to the goal ring, but it's very tight. He's going for it.
Oh man, come on.
Yeah, out of bounds.
Oh, he hit the kill plane.
Yeah, so he has to avoid 2 kill planes, but his gravity is switched so he's on the left side wall, and that can like put you off with your control a lot.
Yeah.
So
I think he's already having controller issues as well, so this is going to be a miracle if he makes it, honestly. If he has controller issues, I'll be extremely impressed if he lands it.
So like the twist with this is the camera pans around so you can't see where you're going, so you have to use the minimal amount of visual cues you have.
He can recover this.
But
Go on, land! Yes!
He got it!
He died there, didn't he? But then he got in the goal ring before the death animation. That was an incredibly good recovery.
Yeah.
If he hit the goal ring later, he would have gotten the glitch where he respawns at the checkpoint, but still finishes the level.
But that was about as good a recovery as there could have been. That was really good.
You can actually land on that box with that sideways gravity because you're obviously not supposed to be there, especially with that gravity. So it kind of just like is a bit forgiving in that regard.
I'm really impressed by that. Like, obviously, we're saying I think he's having some controller issues. If his play has been suspect or it's been like, oh, he's not doing very well, is this guy actually good? Yes. In order to land that, he is very good. That was really impressive.
Yeah. So this boss is. I'd say it's the second hardest boss, because it can mess up and lose quite a bit of time. You can even die on it if you're not careful enough, but it's generally quite easy if you have the strats.
Mm-hmm.
The bosses aren't too hard.
He actually utilized a strat there that the Japanese runners seem to prefer, which is diverting Eggman to fire the laser in the completely wrong direction. I'm actually not entirely sure how that works, but it's pretty interesting.
They might just be going around the outside circle.
Maybe, yeah.
Oh,
so
landing on the rail, what the hell?
If skipping Crazy Gadget wasn't enough, we're also going to be skipping Final Rush as well. Again,
the
using
last
skewed gravity.
level. The last level in the run, that is. So, he's just gonna be abusing the changing gravity direction thing I talked about earlier, and he's gonna just fly in that direction in order to, like, out-position the kill plane, the bottom kill plane. Then he's gonna drop, because there's no bottom kill plane there anymore. It doesn't reach
That was
out
an
that
early
far.
gravity reset. I don't like that. I don't know.
You
if
might
he's
not
gonna
make it. You
this.
might not have enough height now.
Yeah.
So there's
Particularly
actually
because the setup that he was using there, the angle that he was using for the skewed gravity fall, that's the old angle. Yeah, that's the old angle that was used before we had a more refined method, which is, it's riskier, and I don't like it as much. So this is not certain now. We're going to need to see when the level comes into view. Oh, he's actually got a lot of height. That's fine.
Yeah, that's fine. So
I'm really surprised.
There was a kill plane on his left and one below him. The one below him, that he got past that ages away, so he could like reset his gravity so he was falling down so he could fall towards the goal ring a bit quicker. And then it was just a matter of waiting for the kill plane to the left of him to like stop being there so he could turn around the kill plane and position himself to head towards the goal ring. And that was found a couple years ago by me, and it saves you some difficulty of using the old skip, which is not consistent.
Oh
we
yeah,
we
forgot to say there's an older skip that's a lot faster and not consistent, and we've been doing some testing of it using frame values, and you go straight through a kill plane and it doesn't kill you, and this is the final boss of the game, Shadow 2.
Yeah, it's technically not consistent as well.
Yeah.
It's not just, we can't get it that much.
This is an awkward position for Shadow. So you want to just change some homing attacks rhythmically to get Shadow like this, and time. So, sub 39, nice run. But that was a awkward start to the Shadow fight, which he played well to recover from, because the falling platforms can put you in a very awful position, especially because if they fall too low and Shadow goes too low with them, he will immediately Chaos Control to teleport, and then you have no way to recover.
Yeah,
that was a fine ending to the run.
Bad.
That was a good ending to the run. CGSS with a good FR skip and a good Shadow 2, that was as good an end to the run as could have been hoped for.
That was very entertaining to watch and commentate over.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was fun to watch, for sure. Good job in the commentary.
A 38. I mean, it's a 38:59, but still getting like a sub 39 in a marathon. It's always respectable to get a time like that. Like sub 40 is a good time as a good runner to be able to consistently aim for, but you know, with marathon stuff and RNG stuff, you can't always expect good times. So that was definitely a good showing. There were some problems here and there, but overall, the RNG was not great, but the play was definitely above average, and he landed the most difficult tricks in the game, being like the Green Forest Wall Run, CGSS. Those are honestly really difficult tricks where the difficulty can't really be overstated, so he did really well to land those.
Yeah, world record is 35:06 real time.
By a mustache again.
Yeah, by me.
Someone needs to beat that, honestly.
Yep.
Preferably you.
Yep.
34 win.
By 20 seconds or more. Then it'll be a good run.
You can
Finally.
beat that time if you weren't playing Overwatch all the time.
Man. Like, there are no good runs for Hero Story yet.
Yeah. And we all honestly feel that way, that this game, this category at least, doesn't have a good run yet. We're of course saying that in terms of a run that pulls together all the theoretical time save and strats and gets good RNG everywhere. There is no existing run of this category like that yet. It's getting better and better, but it's still not at the level that it could be. But we just, as I said before, we have incredibly high standards for this category. So it's getting there, and the run's still good, and that was still a good marathon showing, and I'm happy that we could have been here for this. I'm very happy that they solved all the tech issues.
Yeah, same. I'm glad we got to see Shibakee play.
Mm-hmm. So major shout outs to Shibakee, and major shout outs to the whole SA2 community as well. Anyone who's in the English stream and chat right now, there are a lot of SA2 runners in the chat right now, and for anyone who wants to get into the game, we are more than happy to help. And the Sonic speedrunning server is open access, so feel free to dig around a bit. Like, the Discord invite is on the speedrun.com page for this game in the resources, I think. Anyone who's interested in this game, just feel free to join and ask for help, and we're more than happy to help. We're very active.
Yeah.
Speedrun Sonic Adventure 2 battle for the Dreamcast, GameCube, PS3, Xbox 360, and PC.
Do it now.
That's subliminal messaging.
Not so subliminal. Anyway, I suppose we should let you guys prepare for the next run.
Suppose so.
It looks like they're setting up now, so if you want, we can just get off. Unless you've got anything closing to say, Mustache?
No, not in particular. Just thanks for coming to me, asking me for commentary.
Yeah, it was definitely very nice to be asked to do this, so thank you guys very much.
Yeah, thanks guys, great commentary.
Thank you.
No problem, and thank you very much, and good luck with the rest of the event. This has been great so far. And I actually do need to get off to work now, so I will let you guys get on, and I will see all you guys later. All right. So enjoy the rest of the event, guys.
See you guys.
Bye-bye. Alright guys, I'm gonna get out of here for hosting commentary, so I'll be leaving it to Feasel here for the morning. Thanks guys, and enjoy the rest of RTA in Japan. The next run is gonna be Kirby Air Ride, I believe, from Ruka, so stay tuned and see you around.
All right, well, thanks for the hosting there, Aquas. Was with us all night while I got a little bit of sleep.
You're welcome.
Good morning, guys.
Yep, see you guys.
See you later.
So this is Trey Harrison here, going to help out Feasel with commentary.
Much appreciated, thank you. We have a slight schedule rearrangement here. It is going to be Tetris 2 and BomBliss here first, and then it's going to be Kirby Air Ride, and then we'll move on to Undertale.
Feasel, have you seen Tetris 2 and BomBliss before?
I believe I have. If this is what I'm thinking of, then I think I have played this.
This game's a little bit new to me. Obviously, I'm very familiar with Tetris.
Right.
And, I've looked a little bit into the BomBliss game, and it seems like obviously borrowing lots of the same shapes, but introducing a couple more rules where pieces can explode and clear multiple lines at a time. I also noticed that there's some differences in terms of gravity, where pieces can fall and fill in gaps and create chain reactions. So I'm not exactly sure what the plan is, in terms of what stage he's going to run through, but it should be interesting.